The Oklahoma Sooners added to the roster through the transfer portal once again over the weekend.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff national championship is here, and FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire. On today's show, we'll give you a little national championship preview, give you our thoughts on Miami, Indianapolis, Indiana in the national championship game. I'm still in shock and awe that Indiana is playing in the national championship game. I just assume it's got to be the Indianapolis Colts got relegated, and that's why a team from Indiana is playing in the national title. That's not named Notre Dame. Wild stuff. Okay, we got moving thought weekends. We're also going to discuss where Oklahoma should focus their attention next. The portal is officially closed. Players are still being processed into the portal, and there are going to be a number of players that don't have a landing spot initially. We'll discuss that in the second segment. But, Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners get another depth piece to their defensive backfield. Prince Ijioma from Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah, Prince Ijioma was a very interesting pickup. Of course, you know, everybody's written up about it and talked about it, but it appears that he's from Little Elm, Texas. Played a couple years there at Mississippi Valley State. He was actually at Little Elm when Mateer was there, so they played about a year maybe together, maybe two. And also Nigel Smith from Melissa, Texas, tweeted out, excitement of him joining the team. So they're buddies. So he's already got connections on the roster. But besides that part, himself, he's no slouch when it comes to his numbers. He comes in here 6'3", 190. Just the fact that he's 6'3", and he's a sophomore, got a lot of people excited because we could use some tall guys that, even as a project, they could potentially go out there and play.
Yeah, so you're at this point in the portal where you're not going to be finding starters at every position this deep into the game. But you don't necessarily need to in the defensive backfield because your cornerback spots are solidified with Cortland, Guillory, Eli Bowen. Your safety spots are pretty well solidified with Peyton, Bowen, and presumably Michael Boganowski at that strong safety position. So you're feeling pretty good at where things stand. But you do need to find developmental pieces. That's why the Dakota Field pickup was so important. Finding guys with several years of eligibility that you can continue to build their repertoire, build their talent up so that they can become significant role players for you on the roster at some point. You mentioned the size. He's got experience both at cornerback and at safety. So this is a guy that can be a versatile piece for Jay Valai, Brandon Hall, and Brent Venables defense.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for is guys that have the size and long arms and everything. They can play in multiple spots. You can move them to safety. You can play them at corner, play boundary, play field, just depending on the situation. But he in his bio, he runs a 4.40. So if he's fast and he's legitimately that fast and at that size, that's always a great asset to have. And like you mentioned, John, like depending on, I'll put it this way. We're not looking for starter level players right now. There are occasionally those. They jump in late. They probably already got a destination in mind or whatnot. You just saw Mensa with his situation, Jordan Seaton from Colorado's floating around. But for us and what we're doing, it doesn't make sense to go after quote unquote starter level players if they're not going to start. The one thing we won't do is guarantee a starting spot. We'll let you compete. And that's also how we miss out on players, because the one thing I know, and I've actually had a transfer portal kid tell me this, that Oklahoma is honest up front about what their roster looks like. If it's a position where they feel like you have an opportunity to play, they're going to tell you. If it's one where it's like, okay, you could be a rotational piece, they're going to tell you. And so you can't win out on that because they're not going to lie to the kid. bring them in, they become disgruntled, and then they want to bounce. Doesn't make any sense. Some of the kids are willing to, like you see some of the younger ones that we did get, they're like, yeah, we want to come in. I want to not only develop, but I want a chance to compete. And they're like, yeah, you can come compete. Dakota Fields, he knows that he's got a sophomore and a junior right in front of him. He's not taking their starting spot. But if he contributes, chance he could move into it in the next year or two. Because, Eli be a junior. If he blows it up, could go pro next year. We don't know. Not saying he will. Possibility. But you want to have that backup. So remember that in that mindset, right, fans, is now, like you said, you kind of are bargain shopping this late in the portal, and you're just filling all your holes, filling up with players that want to be developed, or you're looking for upside. Ridiculous upside is the critical thing you want to search for. That's what's most important right now. Because in the beginning of the portal, you really get the players that could start. Cole Sullivan's already here. You got your 2 wide receivers, got them locked up. You got all those tight ends. You expected them to start, right? Now you're just, Marion Harris has a chance to start because they do have a spot open. Now you're just, like you said, we're bargain shopping for ridiculous upside.
And I think this is the Jim Nagy piece. It's that NFL draft style of trying to build your roster out like, hey, we don't have a starting spot for everybody, but hey, here's a guy that's got some traits that we really like, that we think we can develop into a rotational piece or a future starter. That's how teams operate in those 5th, 6th, 7th round undrafted free agent parts of the NFL draft. It's like, okay, you go into the draft expecting your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round draft picks to be starters. Those are premium picks in the NFL. If you can hit on your 4th through 7th rounders and then find some diamonds in the undrafted free agent pool, then you're doing pretty good. That's kind of what this feels like. It's, hey, a 6'3" guy that runs 4.4. Yeah, let's bring him in, put him in our strength and conditioning system, put him with our coaching, Brandon Hall and Jay Valai, whichever way they decide to go with him. And we believe we can turn him into something. Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that you're going to get with a Jim Nagy style and led front office with those guys, all of them, too many to name, that are doing the evaluative stuff that say, hey, he's got the traits that we think can be big time at the SEC level.
Yeah, you're looking for players that can translate. Yeah, like you said, translate that, or even pro traits, or players that are willing to work hard. You want guys that are grinders. And we've kind of had certain situations where we picked up a portal player and they didn't work out because, they just didn't have the mentality for it. That's their job. They clear things out. They make sure that player will bring in the rate of attack that you need in order to be successful long term. And so we have to trust that they're going to do that. And I do. Like, you bring in Nagy to find the ridiculous upside guys, while at the same time you're looking at the players that could definitely play in the SEC. Right now, the biggest thing with the portal is guys jumping levels, moving from D2 up or moving to FCS up, moving G5 up. You see more of that now in comparison. And you see a lot of dudes go from P4 down because they just could not, they weren't good enough to last here. So with that being said, Oklahoma's doing that the way that they need to fill up some spots. So I actually expect probably a couple more defensive players. You may go find a linebacker that you think would, they really need to find a cheetah sized guy, 6'4", 6'5", 220 that could probably get up to like 240 and be your next KD5. Because it's good to have a big cheetah with a Reggie Powers who's big, but he's not a ginormous, Michael Myers type figure. You want one of those every year. You want to find another Isaiah Simmons. BV is still trying to find that one. And you may get it as a recruit, but you may find in the portal someone that you can kind of, mold into that role.
What if that's Taylor Heim?
Could be. He just can't put on weight, man. It's been 3 years. He's still at 220-ish, 225-ish. He needs it. I know that they've been stuffing him with Uncrustables, see if they can get him to put some pounds on, but he got a ridiculous metabolism, man. Like, I know that him coming in, the goal was to move him up, and he just was not getting to the weight, and that you can't do anything about it, unfortunately. But besides beg him to just keep eating and just hope one day it sticks.
Hey, I've got some poundage that I could offer Mr.
Oh, me
Heim here
too. I
after
got
the
it all.
holiday season in particular. So trying to shed that weight right now by not eating sugar. But Taylor, come talk to me. I got some weight gain tips for you if you need them. So coming up next, where does Oklahoma need to go? We'll discuss here on Locked On Sooners.
The college football playoffs is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. So, because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a playoff boost waiting for them inside the app. So here's what I love about it. You'll get that boost. You can use it to ride with your favorite, whichever team you think is going to be controlling things, you can ride with them, or you can take a shot at the underdog. So, if you want to go Indiana or Miami, whichever one you feel like, if you think they're going to upset, you can take it, or build a parlay around the players and moments you think will decide the game. Will Mendoza, or will it be Beck? Will it be Malachi Tony, or right? Or will it, you got multiple options to choose from there. So you take that, then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. So FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com. Get your college football playoff profit boost every game day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you want more of Locked On with less ads, go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Sign up for the Everydayer Club. You can go to lockedonsooners.com/supercast, and you can get ad-free access of Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you download and listen to podcasts. You can also get access to a members-only Discord that allows you to discuss ball with Jay and I and members of the Everydayer Club across the world and other hosts across the Locked On network as well. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer or lockedonsooners.com/supercast for $5 a month or $50 a year to sign up for the Everydayer Club. All right, Jay.
You come hang out with us in the court, man. We in there talking, and a lot of people, whenever stuff drops, they see it right there before it hops, anywhere else. So join us.
Yeah. And a lot of good football discussion, a lot of good portal discussion, recruiting, fantasy football stuff, NFL, wherever you like to talk ball, it's all right in there. And if you want it like no troll, actual sports talk, like legitimate, it's in there. I've been in there. I've been active in a whole bunch of channels, Jay, and it's like legitimate sports talk. It's the stuff that you'd be talking with your friends without all the trolls that you see on social media trying to disrupt the actual conversation. It's pretty
John
good.
John do be trolling Texas fans. Just going to just let y'all know that.
I mean, I did troll Bama fans for a minute, and they did not like it. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't do that. So anyway,
yeah, that makes sense.
It was all in good fun. Anyway. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners have done some great work in the portal. I think we're both really pleased with how they've put together this portal class, but where should they turn next?
Yeah, there's a few spots they're probably going to have to go. Like we talked about in the last segment, they're probably going to need another linebacker just to have some additional youth. Even though you brought in 3, you may want just one more with a little bit more experience just in case. You never know. But this may be the Nesta and Marcus James show. They may be ready to go. Like I said, Taylor Heim, he's right there too. Maybe ready. But I do think another cheetah is probably one that you want to grab just to have another big, like I said, big freakish type corner to go out there. But besides that, this roster looks good. So, John, I wanted you to check it out. I'm going to pull the roster up here so everybody can kind of see. I put this together. Light pink is highlight our players that are transferring in and kind of where I think they're going to fit. They may fit in other spots. Your green are your current players, your freshmen that are incoming to the roster. And then, of course, white background standard are the players that are actually on the roster. So if you're looking on your phone, you may need to look on a computer just to see it better. But, John, when I'm looking through this, what jumped out to you about the way this roster's been constructed?
I mean, it's guys that they recruited. It's guys that they've retained. It's dudes they've developed. That makes up a huge majority of their roster. And, we had key players on the defensive side of the ball that were transfer portal additions. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously, the John Mateers, the Isaiah Satanias, Derek Simmons, Fabechi Wiwu, all those guys were key transfer portal players, but it's the year-to-year retention that stands out the most. It's, hey, the majority of our roster is back and we've supplemented it. We've improved it.
Yeah, exactly. And see, what fascinates me about this when I look at it is, one, you don't have a bunch of transfers. You've got, of course, your wide receiver room right now is transfers because most of the receivers also left. You've got 2 transfer linemen that'll probably potentially start. And then you've got your quarterback. And of course, your entire tight end room is all transfers, except for Trinae Washington. But it's funny, like on the defensive side, it's Cole Sullivan, and that's it when it comes to transfer. So when people be asking about, okay, what is this? What is Oklahoma gonna? Why didn't they get a whole bunch of transfers there? They didn't feel like they needed it. They didn't feel like they needed a bunch of transfers, especially on defense. They got all the players they want on the roster.
Yeah,
they're happy with their recruits, and these players have been in the system for so long. We kept coming back. I don't expect Owen Heineke back, so we may as well just, just act like he doesn't exist anymore. No. Right. Lacrosse just did him dirty, unfortunately. But, he should have found himself being a football player before going throughout that lacrosse game. But outside of that, it's funny. You really only got like 4 on the offensive side that you're really going to be playing. That's new transfers, and really 1 on the defensive side that could potentially start. I think Bishop Thomas is probably going to rotate, possibly, but you never know. I mean, Trent Wilson may end up being at that spot. He may be ready and go and play. Kenny Ozuwalu, I think, is going to be a freakish contributor over time. But again, defensively, they love their recruits. Offensively, they just got to get to that point. They got to get to the point similar to the way Indiana is built. They're built on all these kids that Cignetti and the staff, who's been together for like 6 years at minimum, they're built based upon their image. And so I think we'll see something similar. We should have Arbuckle for at least 2 more years, if not 3. Even if he blows it out the water, I'm not sure if there's a job that will be able to snatch him up. We'll see. But I do feel like once he really gets settled, you'll see great improvements on the offensive side. It's tough when you walk in and you're trying to acclimate yourself with everybody else. But once you kind of get that down after about a year, it usually takes about a year, the fruits usually start to show. Similar, like I said, to Vanderbilt.
It's a continuity thing. Oklahoma's had great continuity on defense with their staff. Brent Venables, Miguel Chavis, Todd Bates, Jay Valai, and Brandon Hall have all been here for 4, now going on 5 years. This is their 5th offseason with this program, and you've had good continuity with your offensive assistants, although you had a wide receiver coach change from Cale Gundy to LD Washington to Emmett Jones. Sorry, I blanked on his name. I was going to say EJ, but I wanted to really say his name. And now you've had some tight end coaching change, which we think is going to be for the better. But you had offensive coordinator change. You went from Jeff Lebby for 2 years to Seth Luttrell, Joe John Finley and Kevin Johns for a year. And now you're in the Ben Arbuckle era of Oklahoma football. And so it's just going to take time to build that continuity on the offensive side with the offensive vision being set by the coordinator. So I think eventually it'll catch up to that. You see in that 2-3 deep that eventually like those guys are going to start gaining those opportunities and earning those spots, but you've needed to supplement it with playmakers until those guys are able to take the field. I think we both believe that Elijah Thomas is going to be a player. It's just a matter of time. We think Emmanuel Choice has a chance to be a big time player. The guys they brought in the 2026 class have a chance to be really good players. They just need time to develop, and that's okay. But the defensive side, I mean, you're looking at it, it's like Cole Sullivan is the only legitimate transfer. I mean, the offensive side, even though you have 4 guys that are incoming this year, you still have several guys that transferred in last year, or at least was it 2 guys that transferred in last year, and John Mateer and Isaiah Satania that are still part of this thing. So still very transfer heavy over the last couple of cycles under Ben Arbuckle, but eventually that'll give way to the guys that they recruited taking over with the Bo Bentleys and the Jaden Petit and the Daniel Odoms, Jazir Rogers. Like those guys are going to be playmakers on this team. It's just going to take a year or 2. But the defensive side, I mean, that's the vision. What you're seeing on the defensive depth chart, That's what they want.
They want to be able to do that. Like I said, we want to replicate it on offense, and that's the goal. And that's where Nagy comes into play, and the evaluations and making sure that we're getting top tier talent. Look at the 2027 class. That class is they're going out, they're swinging at the fences for players that they like. Look, we expect you to play within your first 2 years.
Yep.
Jake Creel, I expect him on the field this year.
Yeah.
He may play as a freshman a lot. Usually your higher rate players, Jonathan Haddon, I think they expect him to play. Bo Bentley's the only one they don't expect to play this year because you only play one quarterback and you play the quarterback that knows the system. But Bo's going to be expected to play within the next couple of years. So they're going to spend on players. They're only going to spend on players that are going to play. But they also don't want to go alienate their recruits, which is the one thing I appreciate the most.
Yeah, you know, being able to go and get Trell Harris and Parker Livingston, it kind of forced a lot of those 2024 wide receiver recruits out. But you were able to maintain your 2025 guys.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's what's important.
They did a really nice job of kind of balancing that. You know what I mean? And you brought in 3 tight ends and you've held on to Trine Washington, who I think has got the athletic skill set to be an incredibly dynamic player once he's able to find his way onto the field. You know, there's a lot of potential there. And you didn't lose your Michael Fasusis and Ryan Fojays or David Stones, like your cornerstone pieces of 2026 and 2027, those guys are still retained on the roster as well. So
they're posting like crazy about run it back. You see all
run
those
it back
graphics, baby. So the cost of retention is just as expensive as the portal. Just keep that in mind too.
And also it's like, hey, the devil, you know, right? Like you'd rather pay your own guys than pay for somebody else's guys because you know what you're going to get with your guys. You don't always know what you're going to get with somebody else's guy, a la Jade Knott. So, all right. Hey, the national championship game coming Monday night. Who's going to take it? Miami, Indiana. We'll discuss coming up here on Locked On Sooners. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. Handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every single deduction. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28. Visit TurboTax.com. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life at TurboTax.com/local, TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. And once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, we got a big one, man. 2 teams that I think at the beginning of the year, you might have thought, hey, playoff teams, they'll have a chance to make it into the postseason. By about mid-season, you thought, okay, Indiana's legit. Miami, I don't know. Not so much. Well, these 2 teams have been on a tear, and I mean, Miami had to go the path of most difficult resistance to get there with some of their wins, but they've looked really, really good. But this Indiana team has been downright dominant in their run to the national championship game.
I think it's the most impressive thing about how Miami has played is, like you said, they had to play through all of these games. Like they started the first round, and knock on wood, healthy. Attrition is critical in surviving the playoffs, and they've been pretty solid in that capacity. Like their main guys are still there, and they're ready to go up against Indiana. So they're basically well oiled. They of course got the same amount of rest now at this point, but I think the toughness of them is going to make it interesting. Now, Indiana is just beating the dog out of everybody. Yeah. And you can tell they watch film because they know what to do, especially the first play that shows up. I've been hearing the cheating allegations out there. Now, this is watching tape. And you can tell because everybody has similar tendencies. There was preparation. Somebody pointed out too, Indiana has like 5 interceptions or turnovers in like the first play this season.
That's crazy.
Right. But it's because the week or two before they played that team did a play just like the one that they did against them. Like most people's opening scripts are similar. They don't deviate away from it that much, especially if they feel like the defense is showing them something that would work on that opening script. That's where the problems lie. They're preparing for that. They're like, we want you to think that. And if I see this receiver move the exact spot I think he's going, taking it. Guess what? Pick. That's how I got that pick six against Oregon. That's a play that they run often. That out routes often. And that corner and Pons was sitting on it. Now we know Ducks will never trust Pons ever again. Game's the game.
So Indiana comes into this one as a 7.5-point favorite. They've outscored their two college football playoff opponents by a total of 69 points in 2 games. Miami has won by a combined 11 points. 21 points in their 3 games. So it's weird. I look at that spread. I'm like, man, it just feels like a lot. But then you really dive into what Indiana's done really all year long, but especially in these 2 games in the playoff. And it's just hard to imagine them not covering that. It could be a 10-point win or whatever, but that's still covering. But it just feels like Indiana's kind of a team of destiny right now. Now, Mario Cristobal has that Miami team playing lights out ball, and Carson Beck is playing clutch. Still, I don't think Ole Miss's defense is as good as Indiana's.
Can I trust Carson Beck to not turn into a pumpkin?
I do not trust Carson Beck. I've kind of waited for the bad Beck for like a month.
Got him yet. But can I trust him?
I don't think
not turn into a pumpkin. That's where my question lies in this entire game is what is Carson Beck's head at? Because I've seen him at Georgia and he turned into pumpkins. What does it look like going into this game? He's been good. I mean, he's had moments where he tried to give the game away, but he settled down and made it happen. So that's where I'm curious at. Miami spent all that money, finally got themselves here. Can they close out? That's where the questions lie.
Yeah, the football power index gives Indiana a 68.3% chance to win this thing. And I'd have a hard time picking against the Hoosiers, which just feels really weird in my college football brain to pick Indiana to beat a Miami team. This is new money versus an old money kind of a situation where that Miami team was one of the kind of great programs of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, no. Indiana's the worst program in college football history. And this is funny. Great stat for you. You ready? Indiana in program history have won 3 bowl games ever. This year, they have technically won 3 bowl games against the national championship. So they have matched the program's history in bowl games this year.
In the last 12 months.
Yeah.
They've only played 2 games so far.
They only played 2? Yeah. So well, they got 5 total. Still, 2 of them came this year.
So ridiculous.
If they win this one, they'll tie it. That's what it was. They win this one, they would have tied at both sites.
And I kind of don't want them to win. As a Dallas Mavericks fan, I don't want Mark Cuban to enjoy this because he tore down the 2011 title team. He sold majority ownership over to the Dumases, who ended up hiring Nico Harrison, who ended up trading Luka Doncic. Like, I don't think I want this from Mark Cuban. And is that petty?
Down.
Is that petty?
Yeah.
Is that? I feel like that's SEC college football level of petty, and I feel really proud of myself for pulling this out.
I am proud of you for the that's an impressive set of reaching around on that. That's wow.
And at the same time, I'd hate to see Miami win. I also would hate to see that.
Everybody. We're supposed to hate Miami, right?
Yeah.
Like I've talked about this before.
That's our Orange Bowl rival, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're for 3 years we could have went undefeated, but we lost 3 games over a 3.5 year span, and all 3 was to Miami. They ruined a second long 47 game streak.
Yeah,
it's their fault. We should take them out.
Yeah.
Somebody
Also,
go pull a Tanya Hardin, hit the knees.
That's right. That's right. And listen, I think also for Oklahoma, just bringing this to an Oklahoma perspective, we like to recruit Florida, and you don't really want Miami to be super successful.
You have to worry about that. Miami doesn't recruit. They go to the transfer portal.
That's a good point. Fair enough. Fair enough. But maybe Mario Cristobal gets a little bit of recruiting bump if they do pull this off. I don't know.
True.
I'll be curious, man. Do you think it's going to be Darian Mensah that takes over at Miami?
I'm 100% sold on the idea that's going to be Mensah.
Yeah. It's just, that one was nuts, man. Like the Friday final hour sort of a situation of going to the portal just after 2 weeks before you're saying, hey, I'm going to be back. Because I don't think anybody thought he was going to be back at Duke. Everybody expected him to go into the portal or go to the NFL. And he's like, no, I'm coming back to Duke. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. What a dude, man. That guy's going to be
that's awesome.
A Blue Devil for life. But then just 2 weeks later, he's like, actually, I'm JK, LOL.
JK, LOL, smiley face.
Just moving on. And I posted this on X. I was like, man, I'm so thankful to have a quarterback for consecutive years. It feels like it's not going to be as commonplace as much anymore. And to be able to have that
twice.
And
we've had
twice in the portal era. And that's crazy. Hopefully Bo Bentley continues that trend and we get him for 2 to 3 years as our starting quarterback.
Hopefully he's our first quarterback in the Brent Venables era to start at Oklahoma and actually graduate from here.
Yeah,
I would like that. That would
be wonderful. That'd be absolutely
to the league
wonderful.
From here. I would like 3 years of Bo Bentley at quarterback.
Yeah,
or even Jet New. One of the two. Somebody.
Somebody. Yeah, for being QBU, it's kind of been a bit of a roller coaster ride. We haven't been able to finish what we started on the recruiting trail with some of these guys, but anyway, hopefully Bo Bentley solves that problem and answers that question. But anyway, any other thoughts before we get to the final game of the college football season?
No, we have to talk about moving weekend. A lot of players have moved in and everything. We got to talk about we'll table that for tomorrow's episode.
Yep.
And let's dive into who do we think will be a shining player that no one's talking about. We're going to pick some under the radar recruits coming in. Who's going to shock us?
Yep. Some instant impacts.
I like that. Yeah, let's go. Let's find some instant impacts from the freshman class. We can't pick the obvious choices.
Yeah. No.
So just keep that in your mind. We don't just say names, but
I've already got some names in my head, man, that are going to be instant impact contributors through the 2026 class. I cannot wait to talk about it on tomorrow's episode, but that's going to do it for today's show. Go follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. And you follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sooners wherever you get your podcasts and over on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button to let you know when new episodes drop. And also go check out the Everyday Club, LockedOnSooners.com/supercast or LockedOnPodcast.com/Everyday Club. Sign up for $5 a month or $50 a year to just get more access to the Locked On Sooners stuff that you love here every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner.